Let me tell you something here, folks, very quickly before we go to the thing I promised to do. The difference here, at the moment, a lot of the Republican establishment, the insiders, the Republicans who want to keep spending money, they see Newt as a disaster waiting to happen for them, for their futures, for their political opportunity, for their chance to win the Senate and the committee chairmanships and be control of money. But a large part of the Republican rank and file, a large part of the Republican base, don't see Newt as the answer. That's not what's going on here. The Tea Party Republican base voters are trying to send a message to the establishment, and Newt is the guy doing it. The Tea Party, the Republican establishment, know they've got nothing without the Republican Party. You can't go third party. This internecine stuff has got to stop. Newt is articulating what the base thinks about our opposition. Newt is telling the Republican base and the media and the consultants, this is how we view the opposition. This is how we want you to view the opposition. This is how we want to campaign against the opposition. Now you go find a candidate we can support. Don't give us somebody who's not going to do this. Don't give us somebody who doesn't believe this. Don't give us some namby-pamby wimp who is scared that everything he does is going to anger somebody. We are angry. You don't care about our anger. Well, we are angry and we're on your team. And what we want is somebody who is going to represent us. And right now, Newt is not getting these votes because there's a wild, uncontrollable desire for Newt Gingrich to be president. It's the message that he's sending. He is speaking for millions of Republicans here. They see the way Newt's doing things as a solution and as a strategy for victory over Barack Obama. Newt's a messenger. There's nobody else on that dais at a Republican debate that does it this way. The closest anybody gets to it, Santorum. Now, back on November 10th, on this program, I said, you always think Republicans are all on the same side, same objectives. No way, no way. They want to win certain things. Some of our guys, I'm telling you, don't think Obama's beatable. It makes sense if all your friends are the liberal media. It makes sense if that's your life. The Obama can't lose. Obama's God. If you live in Washington, if that's your life, that's what makes sense. If you don't think any of these conservatives can beat him, then you're going to go pick the guy who can help your candidate for the Senate and the House win so that you can chalk up some victories for your business. You're assuming that everybody's on the same team here, folks. I've observed that with the death of Ronald Reagan, with the death of William Buckley. It's wide open. There's no discipline on our team. There is nobody that sets the agenda. Everybody's out trying to be the smartest kid in the room or the power broker or what have you. It's patently obvious. It was all about this on November 10th. In fact, this is how the monologue started. I said, folks, the official program observer has a question. What's the question? And the question was, both parties have had trifectas and both have lost. I mean, consultants try to be more moderate, candidates in general. I think they really believe that the 20% is where every election's won. And I think they believe that they are moderates, that they're not wacko conservatives or wacko leftists, and that most people are like them. Snurdly really disturbed by my analysis of a half hour ago why the Republican establishment's ripping into all of our conservative candidates. Snurdly was disturbed by it. And this is what he was disturbed by. I said, folks, now onto the Republican Party. There's a shock poll, South Carolina primary, Herman Cain 26, Romney 25. This is November 10th now, folks. I want you to remember what happened. Herman Cain was up in November in South Carolina, and then somebody found the women. Herman Cain 26, Romney 25, Perry at 15. In Virginia, Cain and Romney are tied. This is polling data last November 10th. Now, why is it a shock poll? Why is this a shock? Here we have an articulate, principled, non-establishment conservative, Herman Cain, leading in a poll before a Republican primary. What's the surprise? I asked. Now, these polls don't record the preferences of establishment Republicans. They reflect the thinking of individual Republicans leading their individual lives. Perry, Kane, Bachman, you name it, the establishment they're trying to get this wrapped up next week. They want to move the primaries up. They want this done and over. The Republican establishment is trying to take full advantage of this chaos to nail this down and end it. They want Romney to be the nominee, and that's it, and I don't care who the conservative is. Just to make the point again, what they want is somebody they think will not lose the House and might help them win the Senate. November 10th, I told you this. And I have been saying it every day since. And even prior to November 10th, I alluded to when Rick Perry got in the race, I told you how this was going to upset the Republican establishment. I know who I'm talking about here. And I know what their objectives are. And their number one objective, folks, is not beating Obama. They're not convinced it can happen. They're political professionals and experts. He's an incumbent. He's African American. That means we can't criticize him. That means he's going to get the welfare state vote. He's going to get all that. They think that they can't compete. And the only chance they've got is with moderate independents. And you conservatives scare the independents because you're racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe, pro-lifers. They live in fear of you. So South Carolina sends them, oh, really? Well, fine, okay. Here you go, establishment. And Newt Gingrich won every congressional district. He won the independents. He won the female vote. Now, how did the media handle that? Well, sure, in a state where they love cockfights, what the hell do you expect? That's the reaction. And who set that one up? Howard Feynman. In a TV appearance last, oh, well, South Carolina, Gloria Borger on CNN after the debate Thursday night. Well, Newt may do okay here, but when you get outside South Carolina, you know, where they have cockfights and so forth, I don't think, John, that women are particularly going to, care about Newt Gingrich. That's the media line. So, media says that. They insult South Carolinians being a bunch of people like cockfights in NASCAR, and look what happened. And this is what would happen all over the country. The Republican base all over this country has been called a bunch of hick cockfight lovers. Not just the people in South Carolina. They've called a bunch of hayseed, nobody drunks, pro-lifer, whatever, for 25 years. When they look at themselves as the backbone of the country, they're the ones playing by the rules. They're the ones trying to do everything as best they can, and they know they don't succeed. But they are not purposely throwing their lives away. They're not purposely trying to ruin the culture of this country. They see people who are raised up, elevated, made heroes. They're sick of it. They simply want their country saved. So a guy comes along and makes him think he can articulate the message that can get this guy out of the White House and maybe some sanity back to the country. That's all that's going on.